It's a fact you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Working Wing, the podcast where every week we watch some episodes of The West Wing and break them down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, my dear friend, longtime debate partner, and the former editor of ThingsThatAreWrong.com, Killian Collins here.
Thanks, Tim. It was a good career on ThingsThatAreWrong.com. It was a short-lived career before the
.com bubble really fucked you there, but you were doing good work.
Yeah, I was like the hottest 8-year-old like on the scene in that work there. So there you go. But yes, we have 3 episodes we're gonna get into that I botched a little bit because I was gonna watch 3 of them, which one of them we skipped. So one of them is going to be a little non-politics heavy, is going to be the more so the kind of drama of if these press people can't access their phones, you can't access their their press phones on like the plane, which is the equivalent of like not being able to get Wi-Fi for us anymore.
Yeah.
So to only be here be there 20 years ago. But anyway, we start off with the episode Privateers. We start with the president. President is in the bedroom being woken at 5 a.m. by his wife. Cants about scientific American marvels all the morning. Abby complains about countries that she wants to go on and like do some neoliberal color revolutions to do a little liberating to Libya out there. Maybe do a little liberating to Syria.
Well, to be fair to Abby, that is exactly what Bartlett advocated for in his inauguration speech.
Yeah.
He declared a new policy for military intervention where he was saying we would intervene everywhere Abby thinks we should be intervening.
Yeah. Yeah. Legit. Then we have Josh telling a story to Leo about a dam breaking in Alaska. A natural dam has broken in Alaska. A glacier has melted. And the staff is like very perplexed at this, potential concept that this thing could be potentially Alaska they even have a glacial a glacier can melt at all. Like it's just an ice cube can melt. Ice cube goes in the glass and it melts. It's just this must be so surprising to these White House staffers.
Well, it is like a global warming thing, right? Like,
yeah. Which I mean, even still today, I still am on the side of calling it. Just referring to it as climate change because ultimately that's what it is. It's just it's climate change that it's going to be humans are going to be uninhabitable here. It'll be a change in ecological landscape.
Well, yeah, I mean the planet itself will be fine, but like every person who lives here will be fucked.
Right, exactly. Unless you can unless you trust colonizing your kids with Elon Musk and. Being some of the offspring that are going to be on his kids' OnlyFans. So if you're really cool with that future, don't fight for it at all. So then we have a deal with some ancestry of the First Lady to as like a pirate privateer. Oh yes, Lady Abby, the First Lady is getting inaugurated into the DAR, which is the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Yeah, she's already a member, and it's Zoe who is being.
I'm sorry, Zoe's being inaugurated. I forget. That's what this is. Yes, this lame American royalty ceremonial.
Yeah, just the waspiest. The waspiest institution in all of America.
Yeah. Amy's a klutz in her office because she can't use nails.
She's so clumsy.
Right. Even the door falls down. So apparently Abby wants Amy to come in on the foreign ops bill and push
Just do something. Get President Bartlett to sign the bill, but without any global gag rule attached to it.
Yeah, so he wants to. She basically wants him to veto his own bill that he's proposing right now and make it more, give it more teeth, I guess.
Right. Well, because like the whole thing is that like right-wing nut jobs have hijacked the bill and added it, similar to how like Joe Biden hijacked a funding bill in 1976 to try to ban the government from giving. He was trying to ban the government from withholding funds to integrated schools because Joe Biden did not favor integration.
Oh yeah, no, can't forget about that.
A similar move. The right-wing nut jobs have tried to ban a thing saying that they can't give money to any international facility that discusses abortion, that counsels abortion.
Yeah. Then we get Don Novak introduced to Toby. Don Novak is a corporate chemical pig dog who is basically polluting all of northern Louisiana, in my opinion. Like the type of guy that would make Cancer Alley a thing. And basically, he's coming in with like a guy like basically holding a leash for him, I guess. Just keeping an eye on them. And he basically comes in and secretly says to Toby he wants to be under whistleblower protection laws discreetly. Toby tells Josh about Burt Gantz. Yeah, about Burt Gantz. Burt Gantz is this guy's name. And I think Don Novak was his little handler. Yeah. Toby and Josh catch up, tells her to veto. Is he talking veto again, man?
Sorry, what was that?
I'm sorry. Amy and Josh catch up. He tells her.
Josh doesn't give a fuck about.
Yeah, doesn't give a fuck about anything like that. Leo's with his advisors over Alaska dam disaster.
Oh, we get another shitty Donna plot set up where she's gonna have to babysit some druggie at this DAR function.
Oh yeah, to make sure he's staying sober.
Right. Well, there was that whole thing where they found cocaine in the library of the White House a couple years ago. So, I don't know. Maybe the Biden administration needed someone playing the Donna role.
Yeah.
On whatever tour that was from.
Yeah. What else we got here? Yeah, Amy and Josh catch up, tells her veto. He doesn't give a fuck. Leo's with his advisors over Alaska dam disaster. Climate change is a reality that they're not really used to. Amy tells Abby about reality.
I just had a note that Sorkin has Leo thinking in CNN headline where he's like, "You mean to tell me this was the first death from global warming?" It's like.
It's like
I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to boil down the language to what Americans consume. But gosh, I really hope that the people in the government can think beyond CNN headlines.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that either way they're kind of controlled anyway. So,
I mean, that's true. However they think, there's never going to be any progress on this issue. So,
yeah. Abby has the rule of she's got the line of what right do we have to restrict what anyone says anywhere, which is kind of funny.
And then Amy is also blasé. She's going around arguing with everyone, but when push comes to shove, she's also this doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Charlie tells his girl woes to Will. Tells her he's pissed about this Jean-Claude Van Damme. Apparently Zoe sent him an email saying that she doesn't want him around. He wasn't Charlie around because he makes Sean uncomfortable.
Tough.
Yeah, Amy has to talk to some DAR lady in Washington. And apparently CJ and Will are here for this meeting. And CJ laughs in the lady's face when she says her name.
This is a very silly scene.
Yes.
Allison Janney is great in it, but yes, the entire scene is ridiculous on its face.
Like, I don't know why this DAR lady is British, but I guess it's just she's so waspy she's British, I guess. Like,
yeah, no. She is just some kind of outrageous stereotype of New England blue blood.
Right. Anyway, Amy basically attempts to save the meeting, salvage what of it she can. Josh is cutting through the foreign ops. Yeah, he says he basically argues to Amy that he's like, well, yeah, we're not going to give up Roe for foreign ops. Like, we're not going to give like Republicans an opportunity to like take something out that we really care about for bullshit we don't give a shit about. Burt whistleblower is telling his info. EPA docs are falsified because he signed off on them knowingly. Fraud. Yeah, since he knowingly fraudulently made documents, he needs immunity, and he has to implicate Tony now if he doesn't have immunity. And there's this whole like feeling of Toby's being played, and it's like, well, yeah, dude, like that's like usually how you guys do the system, though.
Right.
It's like yeah. Then now Toby or his like fucked up kid, like, you know, like one of those fucked up twins has a drug problem, depending on them. Like,
right.
Exactly. If they get in trouble, they have a job there. That's a cushy, nice position, and they're gonna get taken care of. Like, it's a get out of jail free card from this like horrible chemical pig who's gonna have lots of money.
I have this note too. Yeah, like Toby is like, why did you come to me? And it's like, Toby, he came to you because you are a sucker and an easy patsy, just like that time that you committed insider trading with your buddy in the type world.
And how are you going to lecture? Yeah, and that's what I kept thinking too. It's like, man, like the people's morality just changing on this with like shit that like actually they got in trouble for and like got away with, like barely even got in trouble. It's like paid no consequences for. Abby's now fighting Amy to keep fighting. Yeah, basically Abby's just keeps pushing Amy to run around like a chicken with head cut off.
Yeah, Abby's kind of a bitch here, but
yeah, she's like saying that like, well, we're just gonna do things to like get moderates to veto. Then we're gonna put condoms in every single classroom for like 5-year-olds, like you know, just that kind of dumb shit. To like just to make sure moderates are gonna like push against it, like put language in it they won't like. Jean is waiting for Abby.
Charlie. This scene makes it clear I would not want to party with Charlie.
No.
Charlie's kind of a dick here. Like,
well, Charlie is getting like the whole White House elitism thing. But honestly, even when he was big brother of that kid, he had a lot of that too. He had a lot of he had a lot of this like snobbery that like, but I'm guessing being around you know, Josh and Sam Seaborn, like all of those, like being around those folks will kind of do that to you. Yeah. Not to mention the president. The president even seems like humble around these fucking people, but Donna has a awkward exchange for following this guy she has to watch his him and his wife, and just following him around, getting him drinks, just being really uncomfortable and not knowing how to make any conversation. Like, and that's the thing that seems like so.
I skip forward through these scenes.
Yeah,
I just cannot deal with the cringe of it all.
Yeah, the cringe of it all is pretty bad. And then we get Charlie meets Zoe outside the car and says, I will not. I'm going to ignore the email where you please ask me to step off of you. And he confesses his love to her. Great, you know, a regular Sorkin move. Toby confronts Bert on his tactics, gets an ethics lecture from the guy who does insider trading. And then Amy goes ham on Abby about her expectations and says, like, you know, fuck it up, like, just let me go. Which, I mean, I kind of felt that of like, you ever do a job where you're so bad on your first day or your first week, where you're just like, hey, you know what? Just, I'm ready to fucking go. Like, you know, I've had enough of this place. Like, but of course, Abby says that, no, you have to get used to me, kid. I'm not doing so well, which makes me think of this kind of crazy, like, what's her name? What's her name from Minnesota? That one senator who was running in 2020. who
I
got
know. I know you're talking about.
the prosecutor who made sure that Derek Charvel could like stay a cop and eventually kill George Floyd.
Yeah.
Derek Chauvin, yeah. Anyway, that chick, it gave me very much that type of energy of like, hey, me just like harassing you on the job and being a complete bitch to you, you're just gonna have to get used. I'm gonna have off days.
Right. Well, and then like Abby also drops in this like speech to fucking Amy. She's like, "I used to babysit you," and that comes out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. I think it undermines the character of like, okay, did you hire Amy? All right, like when Josh was talking to the first lady last episode ahead of her hiring Amy, his point was, I kick your ass on your agenda because you just have some lame Nepo hire in place. And if you want to make progress on your agenda, you need to hire a real capable political operative to run your shit.
Right.
Apparently, Abby ignored that. And what she took on that is, oh, I just need a better quality of nepotism hire.
Yeah.
It really doesn't make much sense.
No. It does not. And I just kind of feels like it's like Sorkin is just again kind of like pushing characters around just to be like, oh yeah, these two chicks, like they're on, they're two girls, they make sense together. The first lady I haven't wrote about that much. I can make her some, firebrand if I want to, or try to tame this person. He doesn't know what to do with these female characters, and eventually they start doing this with Ainsley later on in one of these episodes. They start going like, "Man, don't you miss Ainsley?" And I'm just like, yeah, something tells me that this actor was just like sick of this show. Was like sick of being like, yeah, I'm sick of like working in a closet and just giving like hot girl jokes and like not having any character to develop. Like,
to be fair, I think she might have just gotten work on a different show, but I'm not.
I'd be taking that work if I were doing roles like that too. I mean, shit, get the fuck off of that show. Anyway, and then Will takes punches for the news and the global warming currents for, he had some language. He took some blame for some language. Some language the White House.
That was the maneuver. Like originally they were going to have, like they needed to be able to politicize this disaster without the White House politicizing this disaster. So originally they were going to have the EPA lady do it, and then Will was like, no, that's not a big enough headline. I don't really think Will is a headline either. But he was like, let me do it. I'm like, senior staff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's anyway, but that's he fell on the sword for him like a good boy. And
it would have had more impact if we had ever seen anyone have like any kind of negative consequences at all in their lives and careers for fucking up on the job. But that's not a thing on this show.
No. Speaking of things that are just on the show and don't happen in real life, at least anymore, we have an episode that's just an Air Force One drama, and to me, it's an example of like the Twilight Zone episode where there's something on a plane and they're all like looking outside and it's supposed to be some scary thing, but it's a different type of beast. And wait till I tell you this story. So they're going to Columbia in Air Force One, and there's apparently dun dun dun. The front wheel light is not indicating that it's on, that the landing gear is going to work. The front light indicator is not working at all. And Leo reassures the president they're going to be fine. They were going to have a F-15 fly by and look at the light and see what's going to go on. And there's all this press in the plane that they're going that apparently they got to keep it away from them because they're all going to freak out. And it's, this is going to be an episode that Tim was going to skip, but I ended up watching it, so I'll keep going to you in detail about it.
Yeah. I'm reading the summary right now, and I'm remembering more and more about this episode.
Yeah. Apparently there's some drama that Will tells that they tell Will and CJ about, that there's like friendly fire deaths in Kundu from like a computer error that basically misfired and fired on their own guys during some training exercise. So like we have 5 what are these, like American deaths in Kundu? Like,
yeah, these
Yeah.
were service people who died in
Yeah.
Kundu.
yeah, that's great. That's always good for an error. That's always fine. Yeah, and then Josh and GOP fight over environmental regulation. Yeah, Josh is like on the ground in DC fighting with like some GOP guy about like environmental regulation of Chesapeake Bay, and
Well, it's a moderate Democrat, right?
no, it's like a moderate Republican that's like weak.
Oh, you're right. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and it's like basically all his Democratic buddies are telling him like, yeah, dude, fuck this guy. Like he doesn't like he's vulnerable anyway. He's gonna lose his seat. Like don't even like give him any credit on this type of thing anyway, because like we're not gonna get anything done. We're gonna put in like a Democrat who's gonna do more things.
Which is honestly more accurate to like how modern
Yes.
politics works than what you usually see on this show.
Yes, and Josh, and of course Josh goes against that current because he has moral standards and he's just trying to get something done. Damn it. And he's gonna make it work if he can. But of course, he gets a call from the DCCC, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to add an extra small business tax, this type of thing, to like also have this moderate Republican go, whoa, oh no, you push me one way, I go to the right, that's where the money is." And it's like, okay, buddy, like you're gonna go there anyway. Like you just well, what are you playing this game for? But that's the thing. Josh doesn't really. The only way Josh knows how to negotiate is with like a sheep who doesn't have like any cards in his hand. Like it's basically like he would trade Pokemon cards. Like, hey, dude, like give me your holographic Charizard. I'm gonna give you this like little Rattata that is all bent and fucked up. And if you don't give it, I'm just gonna take it from you. Basically, either way, I'm gonna have just being able to bully you in a trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that whole story with that. They just keep going to the ground with that, but that's Josh's whole story with that. Yeah, apparently the president needs to certify here that like Colombia is going to be recertified as like a partner in the drug war, and he just goes over the whole rate of like, yeah, isn't it strange that like we give them drug money or we give them money to like fight drugs and they don't use them to fight drugs, and they just like go on vacation with it. And it's like, yeah, dude, like that's what the whole war on drugs is, like a big giant bribe to like keep a different industry going,
right,
including drugs too.
Very similar. We didn't even know about this back then, about like how much money we paid Pakistan and still pay Pakistan for years to be our enemy in the fight against global, or to be our ally in the fight against global terror. And then when we find Osama bin Laden, he's literally living in a luxury penthouse across the street from, Palestinian or the Pakistani military intelligence.
Yeah, it's like who's gonna fucking turn him in? Like it's just like, I mean, hey, you could say this dude know where to go, like.
Yeah, it's like these are the downsides of having a global financial hegemony over the entire world, is that sometimes the people you're paying don't do what you want.
And I'm going to take a line from Thatcher, and I'm going to say that you run out of other people's money, like, because truly, like that is what happens. Like when you run like a hegemonic empire, like you do run out of other people's money, and then you have to like kill other people and like steal theirs. That's usually how that works, Mrs. Thatcher. Yada yada yada. Anyway, the fighter jet flies by and doesn't see the pilot light at all. Doesn't see the light.
Is this when Will is like trying to do a ridiculous distraction routine, telling people to like look at some mountains in the darkness, and then
they all see the plane, like clear, which they're gonna do anyway. Like it's like, yeah, you're gonna notice.
It's a hopeless fucking thing. CJ should have just cut the phones in the cabin right away.
Right. And there's a whole drama about like, wait, you're not letting us communicate this? And she's like, yeah, nah, like, not till this is all over. Like, which is just like, yeah, that's what they would do. Like,
Yeah,
like,
fair enough. Yeah.
Whatever.
That's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, but yada yada yada. Oh yeah. We have President there's like this meeting that Josh has. I think Toby has this with like the head of the Black Caucus, and the Black Caucus guys. He's from the same district that Toby comes from in Brooklyn, and he's basically saying like, well, we're gonna kind of be against this like Kundu stuff because most of our service people are going to. I'm going to put like some extreme shit in the bills, like a draft in there, which is like crazy because even Toby says is like, yeah, well, people are going to be able to buy their way out of it, and he's like, yeah, even so, it'll give like still like middle class people a consideration to like why not go to like not go to these conflicts.
Yeah,
which is it is playing hardball. I always give them credit for that, but it still is like, yeah, well, the rich will always buy their way out of it. Like,
right. This was at a time in American politics where like opposition to our ongoing dual forever wars was still very much a like leftist kind of thing. I mean, it wasn't even like there were only a few voices in all of Congress who were vocally opposed to the wars at this point. It had become more and more, by 2008, Hillary and Obama were both vocally against continuing the wars, at least in Iraq. To some extent in Afghanistan too, but especially Iraq.
Well, I think at that point they had realized that supporting the Iraq war was to be supportive of George Bush, and even Republicans at that point were abandoning George Bush from an economic because they were seeing the economy fall apart. So they were starting to, abandon their boy there, and
I mean, McCain was too much of a war hawk to completely denounce the Iraq war, but even he was like, we need to be sensible about.
I mean, Democrats took the right approach with that. Like, they're just like, well, dude, we'll just keep bombing, but just like, do it under saying.
Here and around 2004, we're running John Kerry, and our point is, no, the problem isn't the war. It's that their guy has never served, so we need.
Their guy didn't shoot teenagers in a fucking boat with a shirt off. Okay, we need a guy who did that.
This real world war hero to take over and lead the war.
Yeah, Bush was just being like, some cool rich dude who like did a lot of blow and drank a lot of beer. Fun sounds like a fun dude to party with. Honestly, Tim, we should have a breakdown sometime of presidents you'd party with.
Oh yeah, George Bush, George W. is
dude, that's the thing. We couldn't talk about. We'd also have to have lists of like you can talk politics and you cannot talk politics.
No, I'd like to go to like a wrestling show with George W. Bush, like a fucking like Mid-South style like wrestling show.
Oh, go when he's like, he's like 25 years old. He's like
25 years old. We're at the Dallas Sportatorium. We're watching the Von Erichs, like having beers.
Dude, hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. See, that's where you like what I once met a guy at work who told me that like George Bush was his favorite president. And I was like, politically, I was like, oh God, like not at all for me. And he was like, man, he's like a man of the people. And I was like, well, no, but like, no. I see what you mean by the whole like, but wouldn't you want to have a beer with him? And I was like, well, yeah, I would have a beer with him. But he's like, he still is like, that's the image they made for him, you see, is that like, but the thing is though, is that among all these elite snobs, like Woodrow Wilson or like Teddy Roosevelt, well, Teddy Roosevelt would have a beer, but he'd still.
Oh yeah, I would have a beer with Teddy Roosevelt.
Right. He'd probably be more fun than FDR. Probably more fun than FDR, but like, let's see. I have a fun bit about FDR. I'll tell you off screen sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they get to they have to get refueled in the air. There's drama about that. The whole fucking you're on a plane drama and you just want to get the fuck off. There's all the shit that keeps happening on there. But eventually they land and everything's fine.
Yeah, because it turns out it was just like a broken light, right? They kept the thing in hours, but it was really just.
Yeah, it was a broken light. Like the landing gear worked the whole time. Yeah. But anyway, get to episode 20 and evidence of things not seen. We start with a poker game with the staff. And I was excited for this one.
Yeah, you had talked about wanting to see them play poker, and I like had to bite my tongue because I knew this episode was coming.
Yeah. And it's like, it's funny because I feel like every series in the 90s and early 2000s, like went on for like four or five seasons, would have an episode like this.
Yeah.
Like Star Trek infamously in Next Generation, they had.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like nice reveals about it, but I wish they'd stick with the game. Batman, the animated series, is one of the greatest episodes. Is a villain poker game. So classics. And CJ is arguing about this thing with the egg and the equinox. She said CJ claims that on the equinox, exactly, that you can make an egg stand up on its own, like it will not fall to the side. But it only happens on the equinox. And of course, there's all these questions like, well, on which equinox? What time exactly in the equinox?
Yeah.
Midnight where? All these things. And I'm already immediately thinking like, well, this has to be broken because that would assume that the earth is like a sphere, either a perfect sphere or like a smooth like egg shape or something like that. Like I don't
know how the science would work out on this.
Right. Like it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's, this just seems to be the theme of this. AJ believes in things that are not seen. Debbie wants in on this poker game. She got money to put up for it, which of course, like, honestly, I like Debbie. Like she'd be the shark. Yeah. That's how I feel.
She does the shark shit of like being like, I'm not very good, but I like to. I think it's fun. I just want to be at the table.
Oh yeah, no, I love being at the table. Especially when you get on a roll. But hey, Debbie plays better than I do. I'm a little emotional when I don't have the best poker face.
You're at the early. We're kind of all right. Will is kind of a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
in the first like 10 minutes of this episode, it is established that Will he's a writer, he's a top level political operative, he is a military reservist, he is a lawyer. And he is also a card shark. And then we find out a little bit later, he's also apparently like an ace shot when it comes to doing like trick shots with the cards.
You gotta give him like some person.
Sorkin invented this new character to replace Sam, and he's just like, you know what? What if he's good at everything? How about that as a character?
Yeah, it's good. Instead of like sexually harassing, actually he's already done sexual harassing of women. He's already like Dan Snyder's like biggest fan.
Oh, we'll get to some sexual harassment talk later.
Yeah.
Will is not the one who was most guilty of that in this episode.
Not in this episode. No. Yeah, we get news of a lost unmarked spy plane in Chagorn in someplace over Russia. Debbie.
Yes, we were spying on Russia and our plane crashed. And now we have to go and get it. But Bartlett has to talk to the Russian president to like give us cover to go and retrieve our spy plane. Yeah. Our drone. It's a unmanned drone.
Unmanned drone. Yes. No one's taken. Yes, but yeah, Leo says like, yo, you use the line of like, yeah, we're spying for you, Russia, though. We're doing it to help you, though. Like. The classic. We're doing it for us. Toby calls Debbie's hand. He says that like, okay, I'm sick of you pushing all the time, because Debbie's playing the strategy where she's playing very aggressive, like, hey, check 50, like, just making people pay to play, a strategy I like playing. And Toby gets the call like, hey, don't let her just like take the money home. Toby calls her. She fucking houses him, like, has the hand to beat him. She ain't bluffing. She might just be getting lucky. They might just be calling her when she's getting lucky, and she could be bluffing other times. Josh has an awkward interview with Joe, the GOP guy.
First we established that Donna is horny for this guy.
Yes.
Which brings a weird tension to the room, and then the candidate is Matt Perry. May he rest in peace. The late Matt Perry is interviewing for a job, replacing Ainsley Hayes in the White House counsel's office.
Yes. Which, of course, Josh is saying like, oh, why can't we just have Ainsley back all the time? It's just like, oh my god, a sexy little like intern that like I can just have the hots for and just like harass her in her little fucking room.
Well, and Josh brings this up even direct. He is setting up a harassment case where he's like, the last time. The person whose job you're filling was a hot chick named Ainsley, and here you are a dude named Joe. That's kind of funny. Ha ha ha. And if I'm this guy, if I'm this lawyer, I'm like, okay, that's point of evidence number one in the lawsuit I'm going to file against the White House. And point number two comes pretty quickly down the line.
Yeah. Leo practices spy plane excuses with the president.
They were examining coastal erosion in the Baltic Sea for Finland, and the plane just happened to veer into Russian territory.
Just happened to veer, you know, like it's one to do. Hey guys, we have some like destroyers, and they just happen to go to the China Red Sea. And guess what? Their Chinese ships had like the nerve to get close to our ships.
Yeah.
In the Chinese Sea. I mean, I can't believe it. That's like our sea, the Chinese Sea. I mean, the Vietnamese would certainly agree with that. Josh keeps grilling Donna's crush on.
He's kind of a dick about it.
Yes. The same old things, which I'm like,
what, you're never happy, or you're never sad ever. Oh, you are. Why did you say you don't feel sad? It's like, come on, man. Is this really like? Is this how you decide who can work at the White House?
Like, Josh, don't you have shit to do?
You're in the middle of a poker game. Just ask him a couple questions and move on.
Right. I was gonna say, I'd rather just play this hand, and and also the fact of like, damn, why is this guy getting interviewed that late at night? He must be really committed, because but anyway, CJ keeps up her egg equinox theory thing, and a shooting occurs into the press office that they're in, just like walking in.
Yeah, Will and Toby are there doing a little like trick shot competition, throwing cards at like they're trying to hit like the fifth row for $1 a card.
Yep. But yes, the Secret Service comes in, scoops everybody up, brings them all to the Oval Office where it's bulletproof, I guess, and they're shutting down the White House because of other horrible events that are happening around.
Yeah, they had mentioned that earlier. There had been a bombing in Sri Lanka and a bombing somewhere in Western Europe, and then there was the shooting at the White House, and then they mentioned there had been a shooting in Puerto Rico. So like none of those seem at all related, and it turns out the White House thing was like a crazy guy trying to commit suicide by cop. But
see, I'm also wondering, like, today would they just be like, all right, well, we had like 3 school shootings today, and like there was like a bunch of because I was thinking,
do they lock down the White House after like the Kansas City parade shooting or something, like
right,
or the Waukesha parade massacre, or
right, like any of these like atrocities that like happen like from any, God forbid, any of these things like every day in the U.S. like how are these any of this shit related, especially from this up around the world where it's just like, I don't know. This is like still of like the cloud of like the age of terror that 9/11 created. So people they were loving their whole like, don't worry, there's always Secret Service around. Don't worry, we're building up our security.
Yeah, there were so many articles about like what a vast. Yeah, there were tons of articles and editorials and features about how dominant and impressive the Secret Service was.
Right.
In the wake of 9/11, just to reassure everyone, I guess.
Yeah, nobody's that guy. Even if someone throws I dare you, throw a shoe at George Bush and see what happens.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, I remember at the time I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, that guy.
That was overseas, right?
That was in Iraq, I believe.
Yeah.
GOP. Yeah, CJ and her staff reviewed some sensitive briefing. GOP asked about the shooting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the lawyer asked about the shooting.
Yeah.
Tries to add, and Josh is kind of a dick here too. This guy is also kind of revealing his Republican thing of like, is it terrorism? And it's like, well, yeah, this dude attacked the White House. Of course, it's terrorism. Or it was like, is it a national attack? He's like, well, he attacked the White House, the seat of national government. A weird conversation where both guys are kind of.
I mean, it still is. It's a weird time period because it's like, well, even from a logistical standpoint, I'm still just like, well, both responses don't make sense to me either, because I'm just like, well, I don't know, like, because no one knows shit at that point.
Yeah.
Either way, it's an awkward as fuck interview. I would hate an interview. I can't leave. Like, I would not take the job. Yeah, then he talks about how Donna's getting death threats. Like, why would Donna get death? She's the nicest person ever. Yeah, he's like, oh, he's explaining himself because he's like, oh, he asked for security measures. What kind of security measures are they going to take? President goes over his lie to the Russians. And with the whole thing's translated in the White House office, in the Oval Office, and like with Leo listening, and with like a translator translating back what the Russians are telling him, and the president's given his horrible excuse, and it kind of gives me the feel of Dr. Strangelove, that conversation that the president has with the committee chairman of the USSR. So yeah, their conversation where it's very polite, but everyone's full of shit.
I would say the Russian president is presented completely reasonable here. He's like, obviously the things you're telling me are bullshit. All right. So I am going to get off the phone and talk to my counterintelligence unit, and we will get back to you.
Right. It's like, yeah. Obviously I smell bullshit. So in short terms, it was, I smell bullshit, so let me get back to you with an offer. Like, basically mission failed for the Americans. Gang is playing poker again, which, I mean, I don't understand how the game would be over. After some bullets through the window, I think I'd be done. I'm usually done with a poker game once guns are involved. CJ doesn't feed. Yeah, unless I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 1, where you can just cheat and then just shoot the motherfucker if they catch you. Like the easiest thing to do. So CJ said that she doesn't fear things unseen, which I was like, well, you did get there were bullets that did come out of this window that you didn't see. So I would be pretty afraid of those. Like, I'd be pretty scared. There's many other things that are unseen that you can be scared of. Like those pit fires that are special in racing tracks where, they're invisible fires. I'm pretty scared of invisible fires. I'll be honest with you. Also the diseases, I can't see diseases either, but I'm pretty scared of them. Anyway, Will tells a story about a false alarm in Connecticut.
Yeah, Will outlines what a dystopian nightmare his job is.
Yes.
Where there was almost two American servicemen were ordered to launch nukes at what turned out to be a landing comet. And the fact that they did not immediately start arming the missile response means that he has to go there and investigate them.
Right. Which these guys have had the reasonable response of that point of going, well, okay, like I don't think they have missiles to reach us here in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Like
from North Korea. Like
right,
data was saying that this was launched from North Korea firing at Connecticut.
Right. Which does not make too much. Anyway, Zoe checks in on Charlie. Since there's a shooting at the White House, obviously showing that she cares. Charlie
is a slut. Let's be clear. He puts his foot in the mouth. He puts his foot in his mouth, being too aggressive with Zoe. And then Zoe lists off. He's like, you got your friends at GW like following me when I go out on dates or whatever. And she's like, she goes on to list off like every single school in like the greater Washington area. And it's like, Charlie, are you really dating chicks at every single one of those schools?
I'm like, don't you work 12-hour days, dude?
Right, exactly. Where does he find the time and energy? I think it's a good scene though. The music is too much, but Elizabeth Moss has a monologue that shows, I don't think she's that great an actor in this show. Obviously,
she couldn't shine in the show.
She then goes on to win Emmys for her work in both Mad Men and The Handmaid's Tale, and she's flashing some of that acting skill here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, this is an example of it. Yep, and in this monologue where she wants to be out of the eye of politics, and be somewhere else where she can just live her life and be a normal.
Yeah, it's a little overwrought. The music doesn't help, but it's a good core monologue, I thought.
Yes. On that point, I agree with you. But like many good things with this show, it's the actor that brings it out of it.
Yeah.
It's always that's what saves it. Yeah, we get back to the Russian call. President knows he's fucked. Tries dodging, dipping around more, and Leo says like, "Oh no, we got a detonator. We're gonna blow it up." And the president just says, "Fuck it, dude. We're spying on you, but you gotta trust us."
This is actual diplomacy, and it's very interesting in the context of how, like, all right, like back in the 90s when it was Clinton and then it was Gorbachev and then the early years of Putin, there was like actual talks about like Russia someday joining NATO. And obviously that didn't happen back then. But then like you go into like these years are the early years of Putin, and there was an honest to God optimism in the West of like, okay, we have normalized permanent relations with Russia. This is a new age of U.S.-Russia relations. And then obviously by the time you get to like 2010 and Syria and all of that, everything is broken down completely. But and this specific year, because like Russia did not like insert itself in any big way on like the national scale when it came to like on the international scale when it came to like Iraq and Afghanistan. Like they didn't even make as much noise about as like the French did in opposition to what we were doing in the Middle East at this time. So like we were on cordial terms with the Russians throughout all of this.
Yeah, because they were our bitch. Like that's the thing. It's like how Josh negotiates. Like that's usually how our country does foreign policy. It's like, our friends are people who don't call us out on our bullshit and who say like yes sir and no sir and let us do whatever we want around the world without any bullshit. Like and that's honestly like whoever starts causing problems with that, whoever decides like, yeah, I'm gonna like start
right. Well, and like I mean like
this.
In the 90s when Russia had problems with like these former Soviet states like going to war against each other, like we were sending troops into those conflicts as well. Both NATO and the United States were intervening in like these internecine wars between former Soviet satellite states.
I mean, I think we were kind of also fostering conflicts in those like earlier on. I think that's been a tactic of like the U.S. for fighting socialism for quite a while, and it's why many of these socialist countries are the way they are, like highly secure and authoritarian. It's like, yeah, if you're constantly under siege, you're going to be a little paranoid.
Yeah,
in some cases.
I mean, I would argue to what extent there was any kind of significant socialist force in that part of the world.
I know, and that's usually where we start debating.
But I don't want to talk about Russia. I really don't. That's my New Year's resolution: is that you and I don't actually discuss Russia. I just wanted to point out the evolution of diplomatic relations, because honestly, I don't care that much. It's whatever.
Oh yeah. I wish you would have said that 2 years ago. Oh man, if only like I had that recording of like 2 years later. I'm like, oh man. It's sweet, Tim, because you never admit when you're wrong, but you can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most
I'm gonna get from you. That's the most I'm gonna get from you.
Yeah, I'm not wrong, and you're not right. I just don't care that much anymore.
I don't know. Oh yeah. I mean, I was right about that at least. I'm still gonna take that to the bank with me, and I'm still right about the rest of it. But hey, Tim, we'll agree to disagree. But anyway, we need to trust each other. Is the President Bartlett's message, and that's what we need to do.
Trust each other.
We can trust each other to not ruin our apolitical friends' night by like starting to like fiercely argue about like a country that we've both never been to.
We've both never been to. No.
Right. Anyway, Josh has a hunch about how qualified he is, about how qualified this Matt Perry character is, and he says like, "Well, I know you're a Republican," which is like, yeah. And he's like, well, why are you trying to work for us at all? Like, you trying to come into like sabotage? He's like, well, yeah, I just want to serve, and you're the only guys that are hiring right now. And it's like, I would take these other jobs that pay me like
we find out he could go work for Josh's dad's old law firm where he would make $500,000 a year, He's going to make like a fifth of that working for the consul's office, but he wants
Right.
to serve. God darn it. He can't serve anywhere in the Republican part of things because he made comments about restricting soft money. He's a John McCain Republican who wants to actually reform campaign finance.
But he'll still go to war, God damn it. He'll
Oh,
still
yeah, of
go to
course.
war. Yes, but he gets the recommendation from Josh. So-
Well, before evidence number 2 of the sexual harassment, they had to hire him at this point.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't hire him, they would have been sued for sexual harassment and discrimination. Because he specifically says, if you're a Republican and you want to work here, you better be a hot blonde chick. And Donna jumps in being like, no, don't you get, he's a stud muffin and
yeah.
he's a stud muffin, so he can work here.
Right. So, on top of that, like he knows the fish that's going to eat the bait right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the show. This is like Aaron Sorkin's work life, apparently, that he's imagined dreaming up for the White House. Yeah, so Debbie is, we're back in the poker game, and Debbie is betting the whole table. Betting the whole table out. Yeah, so just taking down the house. Will uses the internet to prove CJ is wrong with thingsthatarewrong.com.
Yes.
My website. To which CJ says, to her dismay, says, well, no, I've seen it done. Like, I've seen it done. I've done it. To which everyone leaves, and then in her office by herself,
At the stroke of midnight,
she bounces the egg upright.
CJ is magic, evidence of things not seen.
God is real. God is real, everybody. if God's not real, explain why this egg stood up on itself. Yeah, but those are those 3 episodes. Sorry, the second one wasn't too politics heavy. I included an episode that we should have skipped, but that's just how it goes here sometimes.
So
But
next episode, much simpler, just the final 3 episodes of this season.
Yeah, all tied together. Extra notes on them. I'm excited for it. See how this episode goes. Which I mean, I'm always a little disappointed because now the elections happened. It's like, well, they can't do another election unless they do, because I'm seriously, they had 2 elections this season. That's a lot.
Yeah. Starting in season 6 and then into season 7 is almost entirely the election storyline.
Okay, that makes sense. So where it's like they're choosing their new successor.
The next presidential election.
Yeah,
that stuff starts in season 6 and then continues on throughout the entirety of season 7.
Who is the DNC establishment going to push? We
will get to that. Season 6 and season 7 is actually, to me, the most fascinating political artifact maybe in the history of American television.
Wow.
We will talk about that as we get to it.
Okay. Well, I guess then, folks. Ooh. Until next time, keep working.
Keep on working.